During the last few years, cameras have become a dominant part of our public sphere, whether it's in our city streets, highways, or shopping malls. It seems you can't escape the presence of the cameras. So I wanted to ask you, how do you think this development will affect the state of photography?
What do you think? How will the omnipresence of cameras would affect photography? Would affect us? Does affect us?
I don't know. We were now waiting for coming here, and we were just drinking a coffee, and we realized that just over the of our table there were, I count, 5 cameras just around our table, and they were on the floor, on the ceiling. And I was completely shocked. I said, well, I'm drinking just Coca-Cola Zero. Is this going to mean that our photographic production is going to change? No, I think that, well, I'm interested in those artists that are using all those tools of surveillance, control, in order to give another way of explaining what is living in a camera area, which we are control in any single moment that on our lives. And I'm thinking about many artists that are using, in a way, this kind of strategies for their work, and but not only cameras. So the idea of being controlled or being observed is something that I don't know if you know the work of Sophie Calle. Sophie Calle is a French artist. And one of the main or most important works that she did in the late 90s was following someone who just not ever met, but someone who saw in the subway, and following him until and flying with him and following him in Venice. So, and she was taking notes of all the recording, in a way, notes and pictures about his life and his gestures and his movements and so on. So I think that the way that we, and also I'm finishing. I'm thinking about this video artist, a German video artist, Harun Farocki. He's going further. He is using the images, most of them military images that are taken in for controlling and observing in many conflicts territories. And he is using them in order to show us how those images are representing a kind of conflict, and how these conflicts are in a way, have a kind of stigmatization through those images. And I think that we know very well what I'm talking about. So I don't think that the idea of being observed is going to change our photographic practice in a daily life, but I think that this situation is changing or it's inspiring a lot of artists in order to make this situation more visible in a way.
For me, this question is the beginning of some of the other questions,
yes,
that have to do with the digital revolution, because it was in the late 19th century when photography really began to explode, when it was in the hands of everybody, when there were massively more pictures within anybody's realm that they could possibly ever look at. But the digital revolution is changing every aspect of our lives, and in photography, it's the proliferation of making of the pictures, and also by many different people and regimes and all the rest of that. It's the delivery systems of those messages, which images, the speed with which they can be transmitted, the multiplicity with which they can be transmitted, and then there, of course, there's the whole, for lack of a better term, social network kinds of phenomena that have to do on the web, where it's not just one person sending and one or many people receiving, but it is a kind of group activity. And all of these things are really in the process of changing now so much that I think it's a fool's errand to try to predict where they're going to end up. But, you know, it's like when Thomas Edison invented the phonograph, he did have a little press conference. He ended up, when he died, he had more than 1,000 patents. So he was inventing things all the time. And he did this, he did a little press conference about the phonograph, and he demonstrated it. And then one of the journalists asked him, well, Mr. Edison, have you thought about what this might be used for? And he said, well, yes, I have given that some thought, and I think it's going to really be terrific for last wills and testaments. So it's, and he was a genius. So I really don't, one of the things that I'm trying to resist is that in the art world, anyway, you hear a lot of talk about what the meaning of surveillance is and what the meaning of digital photography is and so forth. And I don't think we know. I don't think we can know. I think we're just at the beginning of the changes that digital technology are bringing into every aspect of our lives. And photography and video are just part of that.